Welcome to the Underground, the Steel City Underground, a Pittsburgh Steelers podcast made by fans like you, for fans like you. Now, here's your host.
Hey everybody, welcome to the latest edition of the Steel City Underground podcast. My name is Brian Roach. I will be your host for the duration. I would hesitate to call myself the host with the most because I ain't got the most. I'm the host who doesn't like toast because I don't really like toast. What we're going to do today is a little different. We're going to try and do a live mock draft, live on tape mock draft, as Stephen Colbert says. And in this live on tape mock draft, we're going to be using the Fanspeak simulator. I'm setting it up as we go along. Let me tell you, this is now the 5th time I've tried to do this, and Fanspeak has been logging me out of the simulator as we go along, so I'm a little annoyed with them right now, but be that as it may, we're going to try one more time tonight to get through this. And what we're going to do is the computer, the simulation, is going to select for all 31 teams other than the Steelers. We're going to select for the Steelers. And how we're going to select from the Steelers is we're going to look at who they've targeted thus far with their pre-draft visits, and we're going to see who's available and see what the best value that fits what they've targeted is, and see if we can make this work. And then we'll know in really not that many days, about 8 days, and then the draft will be here, and we'll know if this was even close. So we're using CBS's Big Board with Fanspeak's simulator, and I'm using the pro version, which means there's trades that can happen. If somebody decides they want to trade us to move up, we'll listen, but we're not instigating any trades to move down. Although I will tell you, in every one of these simulations that got blown up by the second round, I wanted to trade down, but it's the rule. I set the rule. I can't break the rule. Okay, so as I start this, we're going to go, and Myles Garrett goes off the board first, no surprise. But I want to talk about the prospects that are first-round graded prospects we've had in. Zach Cunningham, who's an inside linebacker, and Gerard Davis, who is an inside linebacker. Those are two of the prospects we've had over at Southside that the Steelers have had. Marlon Humphrey is a corner from Alabama. He's been there. Tack McKinley and Derek Rivers have both been there. Those are edge guys. Obi Melifonwu. I'm not even sure I'm saying that right. Obi is a safety. He's been there. And Patrick Mahomes. Now, we are now on the clock. And I can tell you, as we are on the clock, here is who is available to us. Obi is still around. Okay. Zach Cunningham is still on the board. Marlon Humphrey is gone. I will try and tell you to who. He went to the Indianapolis Colts with the 15th pick. Mahomes, I'm almost certain, is gone. We will see. Yeah, he went to the Chiefs at 27. And so, of the top level prospects that we had that came to visit Pittsburgh on the south side, Tack is still available. Obi is still available. And who else? Derek Rivers is still available. So here's where I want to look at now what surprises are there in this particular draft. Kevin King is still on the board, and that is somewhat of a surprise. Cornerback out of Washington. Mitch Trubisky is still on the board. Now, with Mitch Trubisky on the board, I am really surprised that we don't have somebody trading up with us. In real life, if Mitch Trubisky drops to the 30th spot, Cleveland may try and move up to jump over both New Orleans and Atlanta. Not that Atlanta needs a quarterback, but New Orleans probably wouldn't mind one. So you could have a position here where teams might try and jump up. Cleveland might try and jump up to get ahead of New Orleans. If New Orleans thinks Cleveland might jump up to 31, then they might try and jump up to 30. You've also got the Jets, who I can tell you in this particular scenario, the New York Jets took a quarterback, so they're not going to be in the quarterback lottery anymore. They took Deshaun Watson with the 5th pick, or the 7th pick, 6th pick, whatever pick they had. I can't remember. I can't count that high anyway. But you do have other teams that might need a quarterback that could jump up. I would think that would be what happened. But be that as it may, we're not going to try and go find them. Christian McCaffrey is still on the board. And Chidobe Awuzie is on the board. That's probably the biggest surprise. But look, Takkarist McKinley is there. And he's been a guy who was in. The Steelers looked at him. They looked at him multiple times. Yes, I know the shoulder is there. I'm going to look at it as the shoulder is going to be fine, and I'm pulling Takkarist McKinley off the board for the Pittsburgh Steelers here at the 30th pick. I like that pick. I think this guy has a lot of upside. I think he's got a strong motor. He's raw. There's no question about it. He needs development, but who better to develop him than Joey Porter and James Harrison? So let's go with Takkarist McKinley as the first pick. So now we start to move into the second round, and we may see some guys with first-round grades drop, but we may not. So then as we get into the second round, the guys who have true second-round grades, Derek Rivers is one, Budda Baker, Chris Godwin, the wide receiver from Penn State, Josh Jones, the safety from North Carolina, Tim Williams, outside linebacker, and then Derek Rivers. But we've now solved an edge need. Now, as I've been saying multiple times, I'm not averse to double dipping on edge. I don't think we do it 1-2. So in this scenario, Derek Rivers probably doesn't go to the Steelers, and that makes me sad because I've been doing take me to the Rivers the whole time. But in this scenario, it may not make sense. Let's see. So we're on the clock at 30 in the second. Here's who is on the board. Budda Baker, gone. Chris Godwin, gone. Josh Jones, I'll tell you in a second. Gone. Tim Williams, gone. So who's left that the Steelers have looked at? Derek Rivers. That's who's left of the people that have been to the south side. Now, here is the best available according to CBS's board, which is Terrell Basham of Ohio. I like him. I like his name. I think it's a cool name. Basham, what more linebacker-y name could you get? Jordan Willis from Kansas State is still on the board. These are both two guys that this board has ranked higher than Derek Rivers. I don't actually agree with that. Jordan Lewis, cornerback from Michigan, is on the board. He has been into the south side, but has been looked at more as a third-round pick than a second-round pick. Admittedly, we're drafting at the bottom of the second round. It's about as close as you can get to a third-round pick without being a third-round pick. If the best corner on the board right now is Jordan Lewis from Michigan with the somewhat questionable potential history that's there, I would probably pass. What other options do the Steelers have? Well, there's running back, and you basically have a plethora of running backs to choose from, but they're not going to take Joe Mixon, who's the highest-ranked running back left on the board. And it's too early for any of these other guys that are here. Marlon Mack, it's too early to pick them. So what about tight end? Well, Gerald Everett from South Alabama is on the board. I kind of like him. I know that Eric likes Big Butt. He's on the board. Kittle is on the board. Bucky Hodges is still on this board. I'm not feeling it. I'm going to now look to wide receiver. The best wide receiver, according to this board, is Darius Stewart. I'm not in love with the Darius Stewart. I would prefer Juju Smith-Schuster, and both are there. But this is what I'm doing. I'm doing it. I don't care. This is how the board fell. It's not my fault. I'm doing Derek Rivers. So I got Derek Rivers. I double dip. 1-2. That's not going to happen. I know it. You know it. We all know it. I don't care. To me, that's the best guy that's sitting there right now that still feels something of a need. A lot of the corners are already gone. Sidney Jones is still there. And according to this board, I'm taking a risk here and hoping Sidney Jones stays around until we pick in the third. Okay. Now, of real third-round picks, there's only really 4 that I think the Steelers have looked at. Jalen Merrick and Jordan Lewis, both corners. Rasul Douglas, also a corner, and Nate Peterman, a quarterback. So we're in the 3rd round, and we have 2 picks. So let's see how this plays out. I'll tell you right now, Jalen Myrick is the top, according to this board, the top corner. And he just went. Jalen Myrick went to the Oakland Raiders. And we are at 30. And guess who's still on the board? Yes, indeed. It all pays off. Sidney Jones is still on the board. I'm taking Sidney Jones. I know he's got a ruptured Achilles. I'm assuming the Steelers will have done their due diligence on the guy, and they will say he is still able to play. And look, I might take another corner in 11 more picks because we got 41 too, right? And I'm not, again, the board's falling the way it's falling. So here we go. I am taking Sidney Jones. Sidney Jones comes off the board to the Steelers. The best other player that was out there were wide receivers. Carlo Henderson, Chad Hansen, Juju Smith-Schuster still on the board. I feel like we need the corner bet more. All right, we're back on the clock already. Goes pretty quick. Top player, still Carlos Henderson, wide receiver out of Louisiana Tech. Juju is still on the board. You got some centers, Ethan Posick and Tyler Orlowski. And then just a plethora of wide receivers filtering down. And there is a couple quarterbacks. Peterman and Kaya are both there. But I'm going to look at running backs. And the guy I'm going to look at, even though I can probably get him in the 4th based on this board, I'm going to take him now. And the reason I'm going to take him now is I've got corners and I've got 2 edge guys. I don't need corners and edge guys anymore. And the wide receivers I think I have my eye on are late. So if I want either Wayne Gallman for Clemson or Dante Foreman from Texas, now is probably when I need to take them because they're going to be gone by the time I pick again in the 4th. So that's the decision I got. Am I going to take Wayne Gallman? Am I going to take Dante Foreman? I like Dante Foreman. I like Wayne Gallman. I like them both. I think I'm going to go with the man from Texas, Dante Foreman. That gives us a backup running back who can provide quality depth. And just to recap, at this point, we now have in our stable of players, Sidney Jones, cornerback out of Washington, Derek Rivers. We also have Takaris McKinley. I'm going to make everybody lose their mind in the 7th round if he's on this board, but you'll see. Okay, we're now to the 4th round. And what we'll do is when we get through the 7 rounds, we'll try and see how the AFC North did, if we've got time. Compare us to the other teams, and we can look and see how awful the simulation was or how reasonable it was. So we're on the clock. We're not on the clock specifically, but the clock's running in the 4th round here. We have the 28th pick. 4th round guys: James Conner, Kenny Galladay, Carroll Phillips, who's an outside linebacker. You can pretty much probably scratch him off at this point. Tanoa Passanon from Villanova, defensive end. Those are the 4th round guys. Okay. Hey, we just got offered a trade. The Browns would like to move up to the 28th pick, and they're going to give us a future 5th and their first pick in the 5th, which is the first pick in the 5th. So we would be moving back approximately, I think, 14 spots. The Dolphins are giving us, trying to give us the 22nd pick in the 5th and the 5th pick in the 7th. I'm not interested in that. I'm curious about the Browns thing because I like to stockpile another 5th rounder next year. So who's available right now as we're picking? And I wonder who the Browns are trying to get their grubby little Browns mitts on. Could be Rasul Douglas. He's still available. Could be Ethan Posick. Could even be Dede Westbrook, Isaiah Ford. Mac Hollins is a wide receiver that we've looked at. This seems a little early for him on the Browns, but I I don't see at this point. Here's what I look at if I'm in this situation. I don't see a guy I don't think I can get later in the draft. So if I go down 13 spots, am I really losing anyone? I might be losing out on Kenny Galladay if I do this trade. There is a possibility I lose out on Kenny Galladay. If I wanted to target, let's say, DeMonte Kazee of San Diego State as a corner, I think he's still going to be there. I'm pretty sure Rasul Douglas, who's a corner from West Virginia, would be gone. There's another corner, Brian Allen out of Utah, who I like. Might still be there. Based on this board, I'm going to take the Browns trade. I'm going to give up the 28th pick in the 4th. I'm trading myself completely out of the 4th. And who they took? Corey Clement, running back from Wisconsin. They traded up to take Corey Clement. All right. So we're now done with the 4th. We had no 4th round pick because I traded away, and I got a future 5th and the first pick in the 5th round. So now we're going to be on the board immediately in the 5th round. So we have 2 picks in the 5th, the 1st and the 29th. And we are on the board in the 5th. And the guys that we have seen available, or that the Steelers have looked at that were potential 5th rounders, Mac Hollins and Josh Dobbs, the quarterback out of Tennessee, and Mac Hollins, the wide receiver from, I don't remember where. And I can't look it up right now because I don't want to type and look it up. So, but somebody who did come to the Steelers facility, who they may have thought of in the 4th round area, and another guy who came to the facility, Shelton Gibson. These guys are still on here. I'm going to take, with pick 1 in the 5th round that I got from Cleveland, Kenny Galladay, the wide receiver. And the reason I'm going to take Kenny Galladay is that he's a tall guy. He's a pretty fast guy for his size. He's strong. He, again, is raw. He needs to work on his routes. He needs to add some upper body strength and be a little cleaner. But he has big potential, I think. I'm not talking about who his comparison was in one of the things that one of the guys at SCU sent me. I'm not thinking that way. I'm thinking this is who we expected that guy to be. That guy, I'm pretty sure, was Dallas Baker. And I'm hoping he's not Dallas Baker. But, so I took Kenny Galladay. And now we're back on the board right now. And we have the 29th pick sitting here. If we want Joshua Dobbs, the quarterback from Tennessee, he's there right now for us to take. If we wanted to take him, he's there for us to take. I am willing to bet you that he'll be gone by the 6th. So if we wanted him, this is where we got to have him. And then we did look at him. And as far as 5th rounders go, that's about it. The best player available, Ryan Switzer. I know this is going to make Zach all sad and unhappy. Ryan Switzer is best player on the board right now, and I'm not taking him. Not taking him. Joe Mathis, the edge guy from Washington, he's on the board. Not taking him. Noah Brown is on the board from Ohio State. Not taking him. I think the direction I would go in here is we've got Sidney Jones to play corner outside. We need to address potential inside issues at slot. And there's a guy here who I think can do that, and that's DeMonte Kazee, and I'm taking him. So I've double dipped on corners and I've double dipped on edges, and that's where we're at. So we are done essentially the 5th round. We will now be headed to the 6th round of the 2017 NFL Draft here on Steel City Underground. Okay, I'm sorry. I had to do my weird radio announcer voice thing. So I'm going to start this round. Now we're getting to guys like Monte Nicholson and Keon Adams and even Samson Ibukam, who I had the chance to talk to. He's a great kid. And I'm going to tell you right now, if he falls to us here, I'm going to take him. I'm already telling you, I'm taking him in this round. Even though we've already done 2 edge guys, I'm taking Samson Ibuka if he's here. Because the truth is, once we get to the 6th round and the 7th round, I don't know what we're going to get. I don't know. And so right now, I could take Samson Ibuka. Based on this board, I could get him in the 7th. I'm just looking at where he's sitting, who's ahead of him right now, and I can get him in the 7th. I want him. I'm going to draft him. I'm warning you in advance I'm going to draft him. But I won't take him here because I can get him in the 7th. Who do I want here? Well, they've looked at Monte Nicholson, who's a safety. They've looked at Trayvon Hester, who's a defensive tackle. They looked at Jason Kroom, who's a tight end. Ryan Lewis is a corner. And who are they going to take here? This low in the draft. I think I'm going to go. I can't go edge here because I'm going edge next round. I already know that. If Ibuka is in there in the 7th, I'm going edge next round. So I'm not going to go edge here. It would be just silly of me. Not that I haven't already been somewhat silly in this particular draft. But here's what I'm going to do. I am looking at who is around, and there's a tight end out of Toledo. His name is Michael Roberts. Michael Roberts has been projected much higher than this. He got a lot of word of mouth early on in the process, but he slid back down a bit, and he's still here. So I'm taking Michael Roberts in the 6th round from Toledo, the tight end. Gives us maybe some tight end insurance. And we are now into the 7th round. We've got one more pick left. I've already told you who it's going to be if he's there, because I like this kid. I liked him a lot when I talked to him. There's an article up on Steel City Underground talking about him. And he's a very humble young man. He's got a lot of potential. I think I need good vibes on him because right now he's in New England talking to the Patriots, and I'm not happy about it. So I'm giving the simulator here my Ibuku. I gotta work on it, Samson. I'm looking at Samson here in the 7th round. And I'm going to call his name as soon as our pick comes up, provided he's still there. And he might not be because there's nobody else on the board ahead of him anymore. But there he is. Okay, last pick in the draft. Man, I went heavy edge. How many did I get? 3, 4? I don't even know. But I take Samson Ibuka in the 7th round. Now, as soon as this is done tabulating and finishes its calculations, we'll look at what we did. And we'll look at what the Browns, the Bengals, and the Ravens did to get a sense of whether we think we're ahead. Look, this is why I'm not a GM, all right? But we'll see. All right, so let's quickly review our draft. Our draft, we went to Karis McKinley in the 1st. I like that pick. Derek Rivers in the 2nd. You know I like that pick. In the 3rd, Sidney Jones, cornerback, and Donta Foreman, running back. Then we skipped out of the 4th. We traded. We ended up with an extra 5th round pick next year from Cleveland. So we got Kenny Galladay in the 5th and DeMonte Kazi in the 5th, cornerback. So we got a slot corner. We got a wide receiver, running back. We got a boundary corner in Howard Wilson, who was a projected top 15 pick if he hadn't gotten hurt, to Karis McKinley and Derek Rivers. I'm not mad at that, actually. The more I think about it, the less mad I am at it. In the 6th round, we took Michael Roberts, tight end from Toledo, and then we took my boy Samson in the 7th round with our last pick. Now, let's take a look at what those Brownies did. So, here's the draft the Browns did. They took Myles Garrett, number 1. Nothing we can do about that. We knew we were going to do that. Then they took Marshawn Lattimore, number 12. Smart move by the Brownies. If they had wanted Mitch Trubisky, they'd have had to trade up to get him. Since they didn't do that, they ended up taking Deshaun Kaiser at quarterback with the 1st pick in the 2nd round. And with the 20th pick in the 2nd round, they took the tight end that I like, Adam Shaheen. Then they shored up their offensive line, took Taylor Moton from Western Michigan in the 3rd with their 1st pick. They took Jaleel Johnson, a D lineman from Iowa. They took Corey Clement. That's who they traded with us to get. the running back from Wisconsin. They took Ryan Switzer in the 5th round with the 31st pick of the 5th. They took a linebacker, Jordan Evans from Oklahoma, in the 5th round. And Hunter Dimmick, an edge guy from Utah, they took with their pick in the 6th round, their first pick in the 6th, and their second pick in the 6th. They took Cameron Tom, a center from Southern Mississippi. Okay, that's actually a pretty good draft for the Browns if it runs that way. They've got an edge guy, they got a corner, they got a quarterback, and they got a tight end. I'm not look, I know Zach likes Ryan Switzer a lot. I'm not in love with Ryan Switzer. There's a reason he's being drafted way down there in the 5th round. And, I'm surprised he's still there because I was sure he was going to be in New England. But they did get a wide receiver. I'm not scared of that wide receiver right now. I'm not scared of the running back they got. I'm a little bit disturbed by the tight end. But I'd say, look, you can't do anything about the fact that they had 2 picks in the top 12, all right? So you take that out, and I think our draft is better than theirs. Keep those 2 guys in, they got a better draft. But what are you going to do? You can't. How am I supposed to give them Marshawn Lattimore and Myles Garrett and not have them have a better draft? All right, let's look at the Bengals. All right, with the 9th pick, they took Malik Hooker, safety from Ohio State. That I'm not thrilled with that. I'm not happy they took Malik Hooker. It's a good pick for them, don't get me wrong. I'm just not happy about it. They took Tyus Bowser, an edge guy, in the 2nd round. In the 3rd round, Antonio Garcia, an offensive tackle. Now, they waited a long time to address their offensive line, which is a mess. They took Juju Smith-Schuster, who I do like. They took him in the 4th round. They took Zach Banner in the 4th round, who's a guard from USC. They took a center, Kyle Fuller, from Baylor. So now they're starting to pick up a lot of offensive linemen. They took another Ohio State guy, Noah Brown, in the 5th round. In the 6th round, they had 2 picks. They took T.J. Logan, a running back from North Carolina, and Zane Gonzalez, a kicker. They took a kicker from Arizona State. I guess when you got that many picks and you're down there in the 6th round, you can take a kicker. They took another edge guy, Dylan Donahue from West Georgia, in the 7th, and Hardy Nickerson, a linebacker from Illinois, who's a name we all remember, as the last pick in their 7th round. It's a good draft for them. I'm not thrilled with Tyus Bowser. I don't know that that's going to pan out for them. I don't know that any of these guys are going to be starter-capable linemen that they picked. I like the Juju Smith-Schuster pick. I like the Malik Hooker pick a lot. I actually like the Noah Brown pick a lot. But I think our draft's better. Now let's go look at those Ratbirds, the Ravens. Oh, heaven help us. They took John Ross, the speedster from Washington, wide receiver. They took him at 16. They said, you don't want Carl Lawson with the 30th pick. We're going to take him in the 2nd round with the 15th pick. So they took an edge guy. They took Jordan Lewis in the 3rd round. And then they took Montravius Adams, who's a defensive lineman out of Auburn, in the 3rd round. In the 4th, they took a tackle, J.J. Dielman from Utah. They took James Conner in the 5th round. And they took a wide receiver, Chad Williams from Grambling, in the 6th round. That was all they had. So why was that all they had? I don't know. I think that's all they got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 picks. It's not a bad draft. Because I'm not sure about Carl Lawson, I still give us the edge in the draft. Look, we got Tack McKinley, we got Derek Rivers, we got Sidney Jones. They got John Ross, they got Carl Lawson and Jordan Lewis. I will take Sidney Jones over Jordan Lewis. I'll take both Tack and Derek Rivers over Carl Lawson. I'll give him John Ross and hope that they don't have enough offensive line help with this guy, J.J. Dielman, to keep Tack McKinley and Bud Dupree and Cam Hayward and Stephon Tuitt from messing up Joe Flacco's day. So if this was the way the draft played out, I'd rate our draft better than anybody else in the AFC North except Cleveland, and they kind of have an unfair advantage. They're picking at the top the whole time. So it's not a bad draft, but that's the way our scenario played out. I'll go through it one more time for our team, for the Pittsburgh Steelers. For the first pick, we took Takkarist McKinley Second, we took Derek Rivers. We took Sidney Jones in the third. We took Donta Foreman, running back from Texas, in the third. Then we traded out of the fourth round with Cleveland and got an extra fifth-round pick for next year. And we took Kenny Galladay, the wide receiver from Northern Illinois, with the first pick in the fifth. We took DeMonte Kazee, a cornerback from San Diego State, in the second pick in the fifth. Then we took Michael Roberts, tight end from Toledo, and Samson Ibuka from Eastern Washington with the last pick. That's it. Our first Steel City Underground live on tape video podcast mock draft. Let us know what you think. And we will all find out exactly what the Steelers are going to do in about 8 more days. 2 more things real quickly before we sign off. We have the March Dimes contest, which is winding down. We did get another donation. I don't have it in front of me, but I want to shout out to whoever it was that donated. Great. Still plenty of time to get in. It's April 30th is the deadline. Just go on the site, look for Emily's story, look for the March Dimes contest, go make a donation to the March Dimes, and enter yourself in to win a Rocky Bleier full-size replica helmet. The War Room, Steelers War Room, is still available. If you want to get yourself all ready for the draft in 8 days, pick it up on Amazon or Nook. Anywhere you can get a book for an e-reader, you can find the Steelers War Room, an inside look at the 2017 draft from a Steelers perspective. And one other thing, Joe Kuzma and I are going to do a duo podcast probably early next week, but definitely before the draft, where we will run through the first round for all the teams. So we will alternate picks, and we will shoot down the whole list and see what happens. And we'll see how close we get to the real draft. Okay, everybody, have a good night. Stay safe, and I'll talk to you next time.
We would like to thank you for listening and remind our listeners to follow us on social media and our website, www.steelcityunderground.com.